Hey there, welcome to Crafted Zen, my Flosstube channel where I jump on here once. It's supposed to be every other week, but at this point I haven't been on since October. But I come on every couple of weeks to a month or so to share details about my cross-stitching, my life, and other odds and ends that you may or may not find entertaining, but hopefully you do. But either way, it's nice to be back. It's been a couple months. I believe the last time I posted, I just checked, but the last time I uploaded a video to this channel was October 10th. Wow. It was my fourth, so this is Flosstube number 5. And I'll be honest, every weekend, I'm sure many of you guys can relate to this. You've got something on your plate that you want to get to, but life and things in general just keep getting in your way, and then week after week or day after day or however long it takes until you finally get back on the horse, you just keep telling yourself, well, I want to do that, but there's this and that and the other thing. There's been a lot of that going on in my life lately. So today I've got a lot to share with you. We'll do a little bit of a WIP parade. I've got a couple finishes, or not fully finished objects, not FFOs, but almost finished, Abby style finish, which means I finished stitching it and then I haven't gotten it framed yet. But I've got a couple of those to share. I've got some big life updates. One thing that you may or may not have noticed is I am in a new space. So my last few videos, I talked a lot about the different remodeling that my partner Joe and I are doing to the home that we bought about a year ago. And one of the big things that kept me from doing videos over the last couple of months was just that we were in the final phases of finishing up, or almost finishing. The house is kind of like my cross-stitch projects. It's never fully finished. It's semi-finished. But we were finishing up the most major portions of this project over here, which is the remodel of our den area and my office space. So for the last, up until about a month ago, I think it was like 6 to 7 months, I was working out of our front room. Grateful to even have a front room to work out of, but even more grateful to be back over here. So I will fill you guys in on that kind of stuff. I've got some job changes and updates. I've got a lot of different WIPs to show you guys. And then since the last time I taped a video, I've been to my local stitching shop at least a couple of times. So I've got a lot of haul to share with you, and then, you know, just holiday updates. So in the interest of mixing things up, I'm going to start off with 2 of my Abby finishes. That's what we'll call them. We won't call them FFOs because they're not, but we'll call them Abby style finishes. So the first of these, actually, let me grab, I think I've got the graphics so you guys can see, or I can at least share. Okay. So this is the Silver Creek Samplers Reaping Love, which is right up my alley because it's kind of macabre, but also cute. We like to keep things creepy but cute. The 2 C's of creepy, cute, cross-stitching. So it's the 3 C's of my hobby. Either way, so I made this one. This was a really, really quick stitch for me because it's on 28 count, which I'm learning is so fast when I stitch on 28. But some great details in here. This is also one that I made for my best friend Darren because he loves skulls and creepy things. And originally I was gonna make this for Joe and I to one day put up in the house. But as I was stitching this, Darren, my bestie, he had a loss in his family. And I don't know, whenever that happens, you tend to take stock in what you have and the people in your life. And it gave us an opportunity. We always talk, we always see each other, but there was a lot of need for us to be together and to be there to support him through that difficult time. And it just made this project that much more meaningful to me. There's some irony in the fact that there's death in the stitching, but he and I love that kind of thing. So either way, his birthday was earlier in December, and as I was stitching this, I was about halfway through, and I thought, I've got to make this for him. So that's my first Abby finish. My second Abby finish, I won't have to rummage through a box for a picture of, because this is one that I got off Etsy. For those of you that are also nerds like me and Doctor Who fans, you will enjoy this. But this is actually a piece that originally I was trying to keep hidden from Joe, and I did keep it hidden for the most part. But this is really cute. It's called In This House. If you search Doctor Who cross-stitching or In This House on Etsy, it'll come up. There's all kinds of different varieties of this style where it's like kind of the same size. I did do this on 18 count Aida. Not a huge fan of Aida just because it's pretty stiff, but it came out, it looks really tight, you know, like the stitches are very, very tight, and I like that. They're very sharp. But either way, this took me quite a while. I got this done about a month before Christmas and didn't even give it to Joe this past weekend. Because why would you give somebody a Christmas present that you worked on for hours and hours and hours when you could keep it in a box? Makes sense. So those are my only two Abbey style finishes for right now. So we got those out of the way. I'll reel it back, I guess, and share a few of the other updates with you guys. So as you can see, like I already mentioned, I'm in the office space that I used to call my home Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Thank you, COVID. This is all done and just wonderful. We finished this room, we finished our den, and we got some drywall work done for our spare bedroom upstairs. The only stuff left over here right now is going to be our baseboard trim, and then you can see I've got this lovely picture window. It's probably at least 8 by 5, 8 wide, 5 high, if not a little bit larger. But we've got to get a ledge. My brain just done. We've got to trim it out essentially, and then we need to put the window, the base, the trim, the ledge. I'm coming up with all the words that are not the words I'm trying to find here. But either way, that's one of the elements we've got to finish, and then get some window treatments. But otherwise, this side of the house is nice and done. We're so happy with how it turned out. The space I'm sitting in is original to the house, and then right to my right is our den, and that space was an addition built on top of an original patio space. During the remodel, we found a lot of interesting things, such as the space used to have no insulation, which makes a lot of sense because last year it was very cold. I am an ice queen. It did not bother me so much as it bothered Joe. That actually is what precipitated the entire remodel of this space, because in the spring of this year, he said, I will not spend another winter without putting in insulation and underlayment under these floors. So lots of insulation. We had to put all new drywall up because we used to have this really hideous, ugly, like vinyl paneling that I don't know if it was the previous owners or the owners before them, but they put it up. After the demo portion, we realized why they did that. I mean, it was because a lot of it was, we didn't even actually have drywall or anything behind it throughout the entire den area. Again, it wasn't insulated. There was no drywall. They basically just like threw this paneling up on top of the old exterior siding that was up against the garage. So a lot of work there. Joe and his dad did a majority of all of the preliminary work. You know, they did all of the tear down. They did all of the electrical to get things in working order for us. They put up some new structural beams. They framed out, we've got a little doorway to my right as well, and Joe framed out and installed two sliding pocket doors because he's obsessed with pocket doors. If he had his way, he would make that into a pocket door that goes into our kitchen. And I say no. But either way, so they did all of that. And then we brought in some help for the final portion, thank goodness, which was the drywall. They quoted the drywall to finish the space up for 2 days, and the guy ended up being here for a week and a half. So that was a lot of fun. The gentleman's name was Enrique, and he's amazing. I miss him. But so Enrique helped us finish this side of the house up with the drywall, and then Joe and I got to painting. We did, as you can kind of see, kind of an off-white, just because the rooms are going to move into one another, and we wanted to do a really dramatic dark ceiling in the den. So it's kind of a contrast that you wouldn't expect. Oftentimes, you know, you've got dark wall, light ceiling, et cetera, but in there it's probably at least a 9-foot ceiling. So, and it's windows just everywhere. If I can get a picture into this, I will. But essentially, we decided to do a dark, dramatic ceiling to really kind of punch up the room. And then we kept the walls kind of basic just because, in my opinion, I would rather decorate with color and leave the walls a little bit more neutral, a little bit more versatile, means less painting. Some might call it boring, but it works for me. So yeah, that's some big stuff there. And then I'm trying to think like what else has happened over the last few months. Hell hath frozen over, and my mother and my stepfather were able to come up and visit. that's kind of a joke, kind of not. My family moved down to Austin, Texas about 4 years ago, and because of work and just travel, I mean, not travel, because of work and a pandemic and the fact that my mom does have 3 dogs down in Texas, it just hadn't been feasible for her to come up here and visit me and see our home since we moved in here in July of 2020. And then, I mean, if she's not coming up, my stepfather's not coming up either, because they are very much people that do things together. Which is fine by me, no judgments. I do most everything with Joe as well. But either way, my mom actually came over and twice in the last probably month and a half. She works, I live in the south suburbs of Chicago, and her business, their headquarters is in downtown Chicago. So she does come up here sometimes to work, but oftentimes because she's working, she doesn't really have the time to come down to the burbs. And we just don't end up getting to see each other, which is unfortunate. But a Monday afternoon, out of absolutely nowhere, I got a text message from her saying, you know, what would you say if I could be there by 4 p.m.? And I said, yes, please. I was in the middle of a meeting with my CEO and my VP of sales, just trying to pretend to be paying attention as I'm trying to say, like, yes, please come over. Give me about 40 minutes until I can respond to you. But so she came by to see the house. Of course, this was, I think, before the drywallers had even come. So, I mean, if there was a time for her to see my home, this was not it. I was like, you know, welcome to my disaster zone, essentially. I think I might have cussed a little more. I might have called it a shit show, because that's welcome to my shit show. But that's what construction is, right? So she came by, we had sushi that was lovely and wonderful, and it meant a great, great deal to me. And then after that visit, her work was bringing her up again the week before Christmas. So, well, was it the week before or 2 weeks before? Maybe 2 weeks before. Either way. About 2 weeks ago, she had the opportunity to fly up again. I say opportunity. She was required to come up here again from Texas. And they wanted her to stay, kind of come up the middle of 1 week and stay through the middle of the next week. And she said, you know, I'll do that, but you got to put me up at a hotel for the weekend. And for those of you that travel for work, you know that if you want to maximize on it, you bring your partner. That way you get to use the hotel for the business is paying for. And you kind of get a vacation out of paying for half of a vacation, which is awesome. So my stepfather joined her on a Friday, and basically we spent Saturday and Sunday together, and it was just absolutely a wonderful and amazing weekend. My parents hadn't been up to the city and up to the Chicagoland area during the holidays in a while. And I don't know about the rest of you guys that live in the South. I'm sure if you've lived there your whole life, it's probably different. But my mom just kept talking about how this is probably the first time in the 4 years since they left that they've really felt like it was Christmas. And the saddest part, I guess it depends on who you ask, but we had no snow, so they didn't get to experience snow. But I doubt they needed that, because if you've lived up here in Chicagoland and or anywhere that gets a lot of snow and you don't love snow or the cold, you probably could do without it. That's how I am. I hear people go, oh, I couldn't move to the South because I would miss out on the snow. And I'm like, yeah, not I. I could definitely never see snow again in my life, and I'd be fine with it. We're only up here because Joe likes it up here. Otherwise, we'd be in Arizona or Texas. But either way, they just felt like the Christmas spirit was alive in Chicago and Chicagoland, with all the Christmas lights and trees without leaves. And even the restaurant we went to for lunch on Sunday downtown, we went to Shaw's Crab House. The way it was decorated, the ambiance, as my stepfather and I kiddingly say, the ambiance of the space was just very Christmassy and holiday-like. And so it was wonderful. My mom, Bob, Joe, and I, we all went to my local stitching shop, which was great because I got to kind of show my mom where I go to get all my supplies. I got a bunch of new stuff that I didn't need. And then actually, like a week later, Joe's dad and his girlfriend got me a $100 gift card to my stitching shop. So I'm going to be like swimming in stitching supplies. But either way, the visit was just lovely. It was wonderful. We also, on Saturday night, originally we were going to go downtown again for dinner, but we didn't do that. We ended up ordering in pizza because if you've lived in Chicago, you know we have the best pizza. I don't care if you're from New York. It is different. It can be best in its own category, but if we're going all around best pizza of all time, it is Chicago, and it's not deep dish. It's thin crust, standard Chicago-style pizza. But we love Aurelio's. That's what we grew up on. An Aurelio's, well done. Bob kept saying we had to ask for old oven. Joe thought he was funny and kept saying, don't you mean Dutch oven? Sorry if anyone didn't think that was funny. He thinks it's really funny. He's still making that joke. But either way, we ordered 2 old oven pizzas. Probably the best Aurelios that I've had since a long time, since the original, you know, there's, what's it, in Homewood, Illinois is where the original Aurelios is, if you're familiar with the area. All these other people are like, yeah, don't know, don't care. But either way, if you're from around here or traveling through, I highly recommend get some Aurelios pizza. If you can't, you know, get something else. But either way, it made Bob's like year to have this pizza. So that was lovely. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, yeah, another huge update. I quit my job, or in the process of quitting my job. So anyone who's paying attention to what's going on in job markets right now says a couple of things. Number one, everybody's quitting, but that's because there's a lot of jobs out there in the market right now that are offering really, really great pay. It's very, very competitive. Top talent is hard to come by. And I decided I was one of those talented people that needed to open my eyes and kind of see what else was out there for me. I've been with my current company for about 6 years. So it was a really, really difficult decision to make and very emotional. But about 2 Fridays ago, I gave my 3-week notice and I am entering a new chapter. I am going to be the marketing manager of a different company. This is a technology consulting firm, but there's a lot of really great benefits to it. And it just seemed like it was the best decision for myself, for my career, and for my family. I get to work from home 100% of the time, which is huge. I'm a big fan of working from home. It means I get to be around my dogs. It means I don't have to leave the house. That's huge. I love that. But so I get to work from home 100% of the time. They pay for 100% of healthcare, which I didn't even realize was something that a company could give you. But that's just, I mean, that's amazing. And it's Blue Cross Blue Shield. So it's high quality healthcare that I don't have to pay for, which is huge. They have 401k with a match, which is something that I didn't have before. So, I mean, they're also a great company, it seems like, who's been around since 2008. They're a technology consulting firm, so they don't do the same stuff that my existing job does. You know, they don't provide the same services, but they're in kind of the same field. They use a lot of the same software and solutions that I'm used to using at my current job. So, you know, oh, Fred escaped. Hi, Fred. He heard that I was talking to a camera and he wanted to join. Fred's also gotten much bigger. He's about 8 months old now. Hey, Fred. He wants to make out. But either way, so I took a new position and I'm really excited about that. I'm also very nervous. It's going to be a big, huge change. But you know what? Progress doesn't happen in your comfort zone. You got to get out there. You got to shake things up. It's actually one of the biggest things. During the interview, I was asked what one of the biggest challenges I've ever faced was and what it taught me. And I talked about a time in my life where I moved and I kind of had to, it gave me the opportunity to reevaluate what I liked about myself, who I am, the types of people that I want to be around, you know, all of those good things. You get to do a lot of introspection and then you get to then project that out to the world. And I learned that change is scary, but it can be very good. I learned not to be afraid of new things and new people, like all that kind of stuff. And that's the answer I gave in my interview. So then fast forward to getting the offer, I got about a week to think it over. And I was just really emotional about it, you know. Leaving the company that I'm with right now is very scary. I've got relationships that I built over 6 years. I'm comfortable. I've got, you know, responsibility and authority. And, you know, I really get to call my own shots and try new things and challenge myself, X, Y, and Z. But at the same time, I've been there for 6 years and it's probably time to change and to get out there and see what's out there and see, you know, what a new environment is going to bring out of me. You know, what changes are going to happen when I get out into a new space, right? Big yawn. But either way, so January 10th, I'm very excited. Obviously, I've got a week and a half left to close things out at my existing job, and I'm working as hard as I can so that I can leave a positive legacy there. My boss was not happy. No one's ever happy to lose an employee. But, you know, the other side of it is maybe some of the reasons that I had for leaving will make the leadership team at my existing company take stock, and maybe my leaving will be able to promote some change at the company that I will no longer call my home. Anyway, so those are probably the biggest things. Otherwise, you know, haven't been working out as much as I would like. I'm trying to get back into the game. We actually just had the new Peloton delivered today, which is super exciting. I'm a big Peloton fan. I used to ride like, 3 to 4 times a week, and I'm really competitive and I love it. So one of the things I decided I was going to do to try and motivate myself and to like engage that competitive spirit is mention it here, that if anybody else has a Peloton or enjoys those workouts and wants to become friends with me so that we can cheer each other on and, motivate one another, I'm totally open to and into that. So feel free to throw a comment below with your Peloton name, or you can go to my Instagram, which I'll link in the about section of this video, and you can DM me on Instagram, whatever you need to do to get in touch with me. But if anybody else is a fellow Peloton fan out there that wants to engage, by all means, please do. Otherwise, I also have an Apple Watch. So if you have the fitness app on there and you use that and you want to engage that way, we can compete. But I'm trying to get more into that. So yeah. Anybody who has any recommendations, any classes that they love, any instructors that they love. I'm a huge Cody Rigsby and Tunde fan because I love pop and hip hop and I love their energy. Tunde kicks my butt. Her classes are insane. But either way, yeah. So I guess that's probably enough for updates and everything. You guys don't want to know everything and anything there is to know about me. You're here for the stitching. So without further ado, the next part of this video today is going to be my WIP parade. So... I tried to find the sheet for this one, and I just couldn't. And now I'm feeling like a fool, but that's okay. So this one, I believe, is by the Gentle Art. I think it's called After the Rain. But so this is my progress here. This is on 38 count. Of course, I've got a needleminder just right in the middle of the text, because why would you want to read what it says? It says, how sweet the music of the rain. We've got some birds flying around. Eventually there's going to be like a cute little fountain right here, another tree, all kinds of creatures, and a woman in a raincoat that I thought was really, really cute. So this one hasn't been getting as much time on my stitch list lately. I've been working on a new ink circles project that I picked up when I went to the stitching shop with my mom. Cheers, by the way. That is an IPA. I'm trying not to scrunch up my nose because of that bitterness on the end. Oh yeah, but this is actually done on Wild Honey. The fabric is Legacy Wild Honey on 37 count. So the next one, I haven't shown you guys this one in a while. I should really just get back to this and finish it because it would take me all of 5 minutes. So this is a Plum Street sampler. Original design is by Paulette Stewart, and it's that Bigfoot bunch. Gotta love the Fred sightings in the background. He loves to look out this giant window here, because what dog doesn't love to look out of a giant window? But he's a big fan of squirrels, and by fan, I mean he hates them. So he likes to kind of look out that window and protect his domain. But either way, as you can see, this is pretty much done. It's kind of pathetic that I haven't finished it yet, especially since I think I started it back in I don't know, July, August. And it's that close. It's that close. But see, I think that's one of those things that happens. Is you get new projects and you get one that you're really excited about. You think it looks really pretty and you really just want to dive into that. And then the ones that could be finished, should be finished, get neglected. Next up, this is one that I have made a lot of progress on overall, but it still has a lot longer and more to go. So this is Tiny Modernist Stitch Along from a couple years back, Christmas Village. It was part of a 4-part mystery series. And I've got at least, I believe, the top line done. And then I had started on the second line. Yeah. Maybe I'll keep this one out and start working on this. I've got a needle in here that's holding this whole thing up. I have a giant piece of fabric. But yeah, so this one's really cute. I love the little guys. We got a little tree farm. We got pick out your tree and fill it with lights. Cindy Lou Who Needleminder, since this one goes in my Grinch themed stitching bag I had custom ordered from the 805 Stitcher on Etsy. And this is on the called for. It's on Picture This Plus Crystal Nessie. But I have heard that Picture This Plus is impossible to get your hands on these days. My grandmother, she used to own a shop, and she's talked about how that's impossible to get. And then when I was at the shop recently, they said the same. So this is something I'm very excited about. What are you doing, sir? Fred is emphatic about interrupting this video as much as he can, as many times as he can, because he wants to get out there and hunt some squirrels. But either way, so my cryptid stitch along, I fell woefully behind on. I was probably a good 6 cryptids behind. So the last, I'd say, 3 weeks, I've spent a lot of time on this because the count isn't too small. I apologize, off the top of my head, I don't recall. It's on the called for size and linen. But, you know, it's not a super difficult stitch. I love digital patterns just because I can put up my iPad and then make it nice and bright so I can see it really well, put it on my nightstand. I think moving forward, any pattern that I can get digital, I will, which kind of breaks my heart because I do love going to the stitching shop and that kind of cuts them out of the middle. But I guess the nice thing about digital designs is that at least you can go straight to the artist. So there's like a little give and take there. But either way, yeah, very proud of this little bad boy. I'm actually kind of disappointed because the most recent cryptid, and I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but this is the Cryptid Stitch Along by the Witchy Stitcher. We were supposed to have one more cryptid released before the end of the year, and that got postponed. Like I said, I'm sure there's a good reason for it. The reason may even be out there and I just am not aware. But if nothing else, it gave me a good opportunity to catch up and stitch some other stuff in the meantime. So some of my favorites, I do love the Yeti. Another thing that you may notice is all of the dog hair that I have to, you know, pluck out of these before I get them framed. But Ahul is actually pretty interesting right here. And the called for pattern actually had him standing up. But then on Instagram, I saw somebody had flipped him over since he's a bat. And I thought that was just so cool. So I decided I had to do that too. But, you know, we've got our Loch Ness, and I believe the last time I taped a video, I was all about El Chupacabra because I am a big fan of El Chupacabra. It's obviously real. But either way, so this is my Cryptid Stitch Along. I'm, you know, very excited with it. This was my first ever in real-time stitch along, and I've done a pretty good job up until that 6-week period of keeping up. And we don't have to worry about that because now I am caught up. So no one needs to know that I ever fell behind, right? All that matters is that you get past the finish line. It's not so much the journey, it's passing the finish line, right? Maybe not. I don't know. Fred is just doing the most, doing the absolute most. But that's who he is. All 8 months of Schnoodle Fury. Lots of squirrels out there. That's one big change. It was really stressful when we were in the front room. For a few different reasons. Number one, it felt like we were back in a one bedroom apartment because really we had our kitchen space and then we had the front room and the bedroom. Like we were in 3 spaces. And the front room was doubling as a living space and my office space. One of the struggles is that we've got, and again, like these are not real struggles, right? But he's trying to get out there and get some squirrels. But either way, we've got these beautiful bay windows in the front of our house, right? And our neighborhood has a lot of activity. There's a lot of families, a lot of kids, a lot of people with dogs. They're out there walking them. And I can say without a doubt that the dogs bark 90% more in the front of the house than they do back here. Like even Mr. Henry, who's right at my feet since he's my baby. Henry's our German Shepherd Golden Retriever mix. So he's got quite a mean bark. Big dog. He's about 65 pounds. Right on cue, on camera-ish. Henry, sit. Say hello to everybody. Sweet boy. He is. He's a very handsome boy. He's very, very sweet. You actually couldn't meet a sweeter dog. And I didn't know this until after we got him. He's my first German Shepherd. I've had, he's a Golden Retriever, German Shepherd. I've had Golden Retriever, been around Golden Retrievers, been around a lot of big dogs. My parents have a Golden Doodle. But I've never had a German Shepherd. And one of the things that I didn't know about them is they're what's called like a one-person dog. So they are like very attached and very connected with one person in the household typically. Doesn't mean that they don't love other people. Doesn't mean that they don't listen to other people. He's putting his head in my lap. But it just means that they've got one person that they are just, connected with. And so Henry and I have a very, very strong bond. Yes, we do. So Joe has great bonds with all 3 of our dogs, like loves them to the moon and back. Like he and Hans have just an amazing relationship, but I'm just a lot more physical with the dogs. I pet them, I hug them, I kiss on them. I'm kind of obsessed with them. So it makes sense that Henry would be bonded to me. Not sure why I started talking about Henry and my bond. But originally we were talking about Henry and the other dogs barking in the front room. So nice being back here. because there's a lot less foot traffic that they see because the windows are a little bit higher other than this window here. But there's just something about being in the back of the house over here where, and I don't know if it's because we're like away from the front door, they don't see UPS drivers and they don't see like deliveries happening. But whatever it is, they're all just so much calmer, especially Henry, who, you know, I'm on a work call or Joe's on a work call upstairs since we both work from home. And, you know, somebody's walking in front of the house and he just goes berserk, you know, and you can't really get that angry at a dog for being a dog. Dogs bark, they protect their domain. Like it's what they do. And it's not as if he was just barking at nothing, because like that's something I can understand getting frustrated with an animal about, you know, just being crazy. But if they're barking at something, like they're doing what they do, right? But anyway, so yeah, the dogs are much happier. We're much happier all around. It's all good things. How did we get here? I don't know. How was everybody else's Christmas? Like, I haven't been around in a while. I would love comments and people just to kind of share some stuff with me, you know, engage with me on Instagram. I'm on there all the time. I may not post as often as I could, but I'm on there all the time. That's like the platform I'm on the most, I would say. But either way, so we just talked to Cryptid. Now we will talk, this is a project that I've wanted for a while. As soon as I saw it on, I believe it was her Instagram, I was like, ooh, I want to stitch that. But I didn't know where I'd put it in my house. And when I was at the stitching shop, Joe like loved this pattern and he was like, oh yeah, no, you've got to do that. And when there's a pattern that he likes, I typically want to do it more just because, I don't know, when you have a passion and somebody else at least shows some interest in it or supports it or says like, oh, that'd be cool, I'm sure that you guys can understand, like that would make you want to do it more, right? So this is Ink Circles Arranging Microbes. For my fellow Ink Circles fans, I'm sure you guys saw this one. Super, super fun, cute, you know, wash your hands. This is not on the called for linen. It's on this like mint green, wonderful, which isn't really showing on camera. I wonder if I like, what's white that I can hold up to this? If you can hear Fred in the background trying to break out of his kennel, I apologize. He has interrupted this video a few times and I decided it was time for him to take a very brief nap while we finish this up. But so you can definitely tell here that it's not white, right? Peloton, another plug. But either way, very, very cute. It's on 28 count, which is why I mentioned earlier today that 28 count moves really fast for me because I started this about a week ago. And I think that if I'm really diligent and after this video, I do nothing but stitch, I could probably get this done tonight. And again, done means an Abby finish, which means this is done and we put it in a baggie until one day in the magical future, the great beyond, we frame it. All right, so that is most of my stitching progress. And it's so funny because I've gotten so much done over the last 2 months when it comes to stitching. I mean, like I said, I showed you guys. I mean, the last time I taped a video, I don't think I had even started the gift for Darren yet. I know that I wasn't done with my gift for Joe by any means. I think I was maybe a third, if that, the way through. All I'm getting at is it's just funny because sitting here right now, you know how your nerves get in and your insecurities get in, and I'm sitting here going, man, I really haven't done that much, but I've done a ton. Like, that's a lot of stitching. I did a lot of catch up on the Cryptid stitch. I did. But you guys don't care about that. You know what you care about? What do you care about? My haul, which is exciting, and I can't wait to show you. So I got multiple bags because this is from different trips to the store. But my stitching shop is in Lemont and it's called The Inspired Needle. Been going there for years. They're absolutely fantastic people. All of my dogs have been there and they know them. One of the things that's really fun and cute is not the owner, but her sister works there. And every time I go in now, I think 2 or 3 times ago, I brought Fred when he was still small enough that he could fit in like a papoose. I was wearing like one of those things that you see, like the baby things where like an actual baby would sit on you, but I have, you know, dogs instead. But either way, I brought Fred out into the world and I brought him to the store and everybody lost their minds. So now whenever I go in, I get asked where Fred is. And I have to tell him that he's terrorizing small villages across Chicago because that's what he does. It's what he's built to do. It's what he's passionate about. But either way, so I was there a couple times over the last few months and I've got some stuff to show you guys. So I'm trying to think. couple times ago when I was there, it was before Halloween. It was early October, so they had a lot of Halloween stuff, a lot of spooky stuff. As I've mentioned before, Halloween is probably my favorite theme for stitching. I don't know, I love creepy stuff. As long as I don't like horror, I don't like over the top, but I like just kind of tacky, cheesy, creepy, right? I mean, one of my favorite Christmas movies is Gremlins. I just watched that within the last week, and it's just because they're so silly and so funny, and they're also kind of creepy and scary, but it's not like terrifying. I don't like to be terrified. I don't like horror. I don't like gore, but I like campy scary stuff, which explains why I would like something like this. So this is Quakers Gone Haunted by Michelle Inc. Needlework Designs. It looks like this was copyrighted in 2019, so it's a couple years old. But it says, like, you know, here lies buried. Got a little angel, you know, the botanicals, the green. I like green. So this is very, very cute. I can't wait to stitch it one day. I've so broken my rules where I should not be buying anything new because I have no business buying anything new because I have so much stuff that I need to stitch. In fact, the last time I went to my stitching shop, and this has happened to me twice now, I beforehand went through all of my old patterns and I picked out a couple that I would get supplies for. And 2 for 2 now, I pick out the patterns that I'm gonna get supplies for and I leave them at my house, only to find when I get to the stitching shop that I don't have them. Excuse me. And the patterns that I buy, I've had for a few years now. So Inspired Needle doesn't have these patterns anymore. And so I'm faced with either, you know, I've got to Google and look all this up and do hard work, or I can just buy new stuff. So why wouldn't I just buy new stuff, right? No. Either way, ink circles, if you know me, you know, favorite designer of all time. So this one is Get Crackin', which I think is just so fun. Because again, you know, it's kind of like, not creepy, but like the Kraken is, you know, a mythical creature unless you believe that he's real or they are real. This is another ink circles. It's called Masquerade. It's a Halloween theme, which all 3 of these, well, not the Kraken, but you know, these patterns kind of are. And I just thought that was so cute. Ink circles, I feel like often does very symmetrical pattern, don't have typography, don't have characters. They're kind of like just mandalas and shapes and things, which is something I'm very attracted to. I love it. But every now and then, you know, when she does come out with something like this that has, you know, kind of like that sampler feel, I'm all about it, because while I don't love a classic sampler, and it's not that I don't like them, they just typically don't speak to me. This is something by Hello from Liz Matthews that I saw after the trunk shows over the last few months, and I was just in love with it. There's a couple different variations of it. There was even a version of this that was all done in skin tones, which I thought was really beautiful. And when I saw it at my stitching shop, I was like, oh, I've got to have this. So this, guys, this is why I said after the rain. Having a whole meta moment right now, because this is called After the Rain. So we've got, that's why I got confused. We've got the gentle rain, and then we've got After the Rain. Rainbows. Makes sense. But I just think this is absolutely beautiful, and I cannot wait to stitch it. I love colors. I love colorful things, and I don't know. I mean, I just think that this is such a beautiful piece. It's got so many different like takes and meanings that you could apply to it. Like I mentioned, you know, some people are doing skin tones, which is really beautiful. After the Rain is obviously rainbows, so it could be pride and just like acceptance. And I just think it's beautiful. I love colorful things, and I cannot wait to stitch that. Another Liz Matthews design that I've had my eye on for a little while has been the First Day of Christmas sampler and tree. I love these. A partridge in a pear tree. How beautiful. I want to do both of them. I don't know if I'm quite savvy enough with sewing to get this done. So if I did this, I would probably need help from somebody in finishing it. Or it could just be an Abby finish that sat in a drawer somewhere forever. But both absolutely beautiful. Again, First Day of Christmas sampler and tree from Hello by Liz Matthews. So that one was beautiful. What else do we have? Oh, yeah. So this is one of the patterns that I was supposed to have brought to the stitching shop and never made its way there. So this is Ink Circles Namaste. I don't know if I've shown you guys this one on this channel before. My parents are both super into yoga. They actually became certified yoga teachers together. So I bought that, I'm not even kidding, probably like 5 or 6 years ago to make for them, and I just haven't gotten to it. I'm sure you guys can all understand how that goes. So this was actually from my Halloween trip, and this is the one pattern that I bought that wasn't Halloween themed, and it's also very different than stuff that I typically stitch because it's got a very Quaker, old America look to it, and this is Parchment Tapestry by Rosewood Manor. Gotta give a shout out to Karen Kluba. Let's see, this is not new, but it found its way. Oh, this was another one of the ones that I was gonna bring with to get materials for. Ink Circles Love Letters Fractor. Very, very cute. Big fan. And then last but not least, in crazy things that you can do when you go to a stitching shop, I just talked about how I like to go and I buy the pattern but not the materials, and then I've got like, 1,000 patterns that I need to finish without the materials to finish them. This time I bought the materials without the pattern. These are the materials for Holiday Delights 4th of July. So this is actually for needlepoint, which I've never done needlepoint, and I don't know when I'm gonna do it. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but this was like a very, very beautiful pattern that had a bunch of takes on kind of like the American flag and red, white, and blue and all that kind of stuff, and some beautiful designs of different needlepoint and needlework stitches and things of that nature. So when we were at the shop a few weeks ago with my mom and Bob and Joe, he saw that and he was like, I love that. And my mom loved it too, and she got a needlepoint kit. So maybe I'll let her do it first. And then I'll bring this down to Texas with me when I visit so that I can ask her for some, or my grandma even, for some tips, just because I've never done needlepoint. And I mean, I understand that like a standard stitch wouldn't be too crazy, but this has all kinds of specialty stitches that I've never done before, and it's just intimidating. But it's a challenge. To go back to earlier in this episode of Crafted Zen's Flosstube, we talked about getting out of our comfort zone and the fact that that can often help us grow and is very good for us, and we shouldn't be afraid of trying new things. So try new things, buy the materials, and don't buy the pattern. I'm just kidding. But anyway, that kind of brings us to the end of things. I'm hoping to, in 2022, be steady with my videos. I would like to produce at least once a month. I would like to get back to bi-weekly if I can. I have to give myself some forgiveness and some grace here and there because it's just not gonna happen every 2 weeks all year, at least not with that attitude. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend. It was our, Christmas holiday weekend. For those of you that got to spend it with family, I hope that it was full of joy. And even if it wasn't, even if there were some moments of tension or some issues, take solace in the fact that you got to spend time with your family because everybody doesn't get that luxury. I also know that the holidays can be a very difficult time for people as well because, these are days just like any others, and bad things happen on good days too. So my heart is out there for all of you guys. I hope everybody's had a wonderful 2021. I hope everybody's out there staying safe as we continue to battle COVID and all that entails. And cheers to 2022. Like, subscribe, and come back for more. Yeah, toodles. That's it.